In this video, I'll be showing you how to set up the SD card that you can use to get your Raspberry Pi up and running. Now you can use these instructions for your Raspberry Pi, even if it's not a Raspberry Pi Zero, but that's what I'll be using for this tutorial. To program it, I'll use an SD card adapter. Anything that you've got that lets your computer read the SD card will do. So I'm just going to plug this in. Now you can ignore any warnings about the system needing to be reformatted. That's because it's a file system that is only used for Linux and Windows doesn't understand it. So it's warning you that you need to reflash it. So the tool that I'll be using to flash it is the Raspberry Pi Imager. You can find this online with a quick Google. I'll put the link in the description as well. And all you need to do is go to the page, head to the downloads, and download for Windows. I'm just going to click through the installation options, leaving them as defaults. Once that's complete, I'll tell it to run, which brings up this window here, the Raspberry Pi Imager window. Now we can choose the device. In my case, I'm using the Pi Zero 2W, and you can select your own model here. And for OS, if you're not really sure what you're doing, I'd recommend using the Raspberry Pi OS. That's recommended for the course as well. I'm going to use Ubuntu because I want to install ROS2 on it, and that's easier to do on Ubuntu. But it does mean that for the first few steps of getting the motors running, I will have to do different installation than the worksheets say. If you'd like to follow along with me, then click Ubuntu and then Ubuntu Server 24. And here I want to click the storage, the SD card storage. Now, I do get the option here of applying OS customization, which I am going to do, because this is a great way of getting started with the Pi without ever plugging it into a monitor. So first, I'm going to set my hostname to rpi0. And what that means is that on your local network, instead of just being an IP address, which is a bunch of numbers, you can give it a name. So my device's name will be rpi0. I can also set a username and password. So I'm going to set Mike, and you can insert your own very secure password here. I'm just going to use Mike again. And then you can also configure your wireless LAN. Now this does read your current Wi-Fi details already, but I'm going to use a different Wi-Fi, so I'm going to type this here myself. Now, big warning here, do not use a 5 GHz network. If you're not sure, ask whoever owns the network. You need to make sure that you're using the 2.4 GHz networks because that's all that the Raspberry Pi supports. And if you choose a 5 GHz network, the Raspberry Pi won't connect to the Wi-Fi and you won't be sure why not. That's all fine for general. I am going to enable SSH. Now again, this will read your system and find an SSH key if it's already present. If it's not already present, there are tools that you can use to create them. I'll link some in the description, but given that mine already exists, I'm going to skip past this. With that, I will apply OS customization settings. The data on the card will be erased, that's expected, so I'll click yes. And then we just need to wait for the flash to complete. Once this flash is complete, you can plug it into your Raspberry Pi as I showed in the build video, and from there we'll be SSHing in, which is a way of remote controlling the Raspberry Pi, and starting to set it up. So I'll meet you there once the flash has complete and I've booted the Raspberry Pi. And with that, the SD card flash is complete and it's time to start setting up the robot. So for this, I'm going to take out the Raspberry Pi from the case and plug in the SD card. And for this step, I'll power it from mains. I find that having the extra power helps it with the first setup, the update process, which seems to take a lot of processing power. Now, because of the settings that we wrote during the flashing stage, we should be able to directly SSH into the board. I'm going to use VSCode for this, so I'll leave the link in the description, and I'll show you how to set up the SSH session. First, you'll need the extension for Remote Explorer. So you can open the Extensions tab here and search for Remote. Remote SSH is the right one. You click Install on that, then you'll get this new tab, Remote Explorer. From here, the easiest thing to do is to click this cog, the Open SSH config file, and click your default config. Now you can add a new entry that will help you connect to the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to type host rpi0, and I'm going to set the host name, which for me is rpi0, which I set during the flashing process, and the username also set during the flashing process, which for me is Mike. Once I've saved that, I get a new entry pop up on the SSH list, and now I can click this arrow. That will set up a remote session to the Raspberry Pi and let me start coding and running things using the terminal. I need to select that the platform is Linux. And then because it's not a very powerful board, it might take some time to start up. So if it says could not establish connection, give it a couple of minutes, give it a few tries. And if it's still struggling, something may have gone wrong during the flashing process, so give that another go. You should also make sure that you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network as the Raspberry Pi, or the connection won't work. Now I'm having a successful connection because it's asking me, am I sure I want to continue? It has this fingerprint. Just click continue here to continue the connection. And with that, I have a full connection. Now the first thing I want to do is to check out the code that's available on GitHub from the makers of the kit. This is the GitHub page that the code is coming from. Now here you can look through some of the instructions. So for example, you can open the GPIO0 folder and take a look at some of the PDFs that are available. You can take these and print these out, and I'm going to use these in future videos to test the line following capabilities of the robot. But for now, what we want access to is the code that's in the repository. So I'm going to go back to the root folder, select this code box, and copy the HTTPS link. Back inside Visual Studio Code, I'm now able to execute the command git clone and then paste the link that you just copied. If you're having trouble pasting, it's because Ctrl-V is recognized strangely in terminal. You're better off using Shift Insert for pasting. Now that EduKit 3 has been checked out, I'm going to change directory inside of it and open code inside this folder, which means I'll be able to access the code from VSCode. Code-r dot. When asked if you trust the authors of the files, click yes. Now we're in, and we can open some of the code files to see what's inside and how they work. And now we've opened the first Python file, which is labeled 1-helloworld.py. You can see all this file is doing is printing the message hello world. VSCode is asking if we want to install the recommended Python extension. I'd recommend going through with that. Now, if your Pi is being a little slow, you can try moving it closer to the router in case it's a bad network connection, or it might just be that it's taking a long time to process because it's not a very powerful chip on board. In that case, just try and be patient. Let it finish its commands. Executing more commands at that point will just make it work harder and be even slower. So now we've got to this point, we can check that Python is working. So I'm going to again use the cd command to change directory into the code directory. Now we're in this folder, we can use Python 3 to run the hello world script. And there we have it. It's printed out the hello world just as we expected. Now the next step, which comes from worksheet 3, is to run the script 3-motors, to run the motors for the first time. However, in my case, it won't work because I installed Ubuntu on the Raspberry Pi instead of Raspbian. It means that this will not run the GPIO correctly. And I can show you that happening. So by running Python 3-motors.py, it then says that it has no module named GPIO0. So for Ubuntu, we need to install some extra dependencies. A common thing to do here is to update the Raspberry Pi and then install the extra dependencies. That's what I'm going to do now. We can do that using apt or apt, which is the package manager for Ubuntu. So we use the command sudo apt update. That says, tell me if there are any new versions available for any software I have installed, and then we'll let that command run. And it says 75 packages can be upgraded. We can use the command apt upgrade and then -y to automatically accept, and this will update the whole system. Now, because it's updating its whole system, including the firmware, it will take some time. So you can go ahead and give this a few minutes to just run. With the update complete, we can now install the missing GPIO0 library using apt again. Use apt install -y python 3-gpio0. With that complete, we can now again try to run the motors script. This time, even though all the libraries are available, it still says GPIO busy. So to work with Ubuntu, I'm going to use the other folder in this repository, which uses rpy.gpio. But for that to work, we have another dependency to install. So we're again going to use apt, and we're going to install python 3-rpy.gpio. This is an alternative library that can also make the motors drive. Now I'm going to change directory into the rpy.gpio folder. Now I can run python 3-motors.py. However, it gives me this error: no access to dev.mem, try running as root. Now if we try and run it using sudo, this time it's successful. Now I'm going to turn the motor power on, we'll run the script again and see the motors move. I've now rebooted the robot and using the battery instead of the mains power. This time I'm going to execute the command using sudo python 3-motors.py. Now both of these motors are meant to be traveling forwards. However, one is traveling forwards and one is traveling backwards. This is the point where we need to open up the box and rewire the motors so that they're both going forwards. In my case, the left wheel is traveling backwards and the right wheel is traveling forwards. So I need to swap the pins for the left motor. This is something that's always necessary to check because they can't guarantee that the colors are the correct way around for the motors when they ship. So it always takes a test before you know for sure which way the motors are meant to be wired. I'm going to cut and rewire the left motor, and when I come back, both motors should be able to travel in the forward direction. And we're back with the robot, and this time, both motors travel to push the robot forwards. So that's our motors for our basic robot running. Next video, we'll take a look at how to install the line sensor so that we can start running courses using lines printed out on paper.